Well, it's an AI builder kind of day. If you already build websites for clients and you're thinking, which is the best AI website builder, then you want to stay tuned. You've probably already seen some of these types of platforms: Manus, Wix, right? Lovable. You can build things in Replit. There's even more than are listed even here on this. It seems like every single website builder on the planet is telling you that they now have an AI builder. Why am I not building in any one of these? Well, it's quite simple for me. First of all, when you ask AI to build you a website, it can build something really beautiful. Don't get me wrong. And it's really cool to kind of ask it for updates. I mean, it can even do some stuff that is really incredible, really advanced calculators like the savings calculator here. But you find that when you don't have any control over the elements, for example, I basically have to ask for what I need each and every time. I have to talk and interface with AI in order for it to change what I've asked for, then you kind of lose that sense of control. And in fact, that means, for example, in this use case, when we were changing from one color to another, it started changing images without my permission, and I had to go and ask it to revert those. So if you're like me and you want a little bit of control, but you want AI, then I want to let you in on a little secret. The platform of choice for me is the HighLevel platform. But one of the main reasons is once this is created, I actually have control on a element by element basis. So let's dive in. This is truly for you if you're a website designer and a service provider building for others. And it's really anyone also looking for a professional website to be built on the most scalable platform. I do believe HighLevel is the opportunity of our lifetime. And why? Well, it's all in one. And for businesses, that's a very important thing, right? We're sick of logging into 6, 7 places and duct taping our businesses. So businesses get to log in all in one. And if, as the service provider, you can actually resell this software, put your own brand on it, and it does all of the things that you're probably used to connecting the dots on other platform. And let's be real, ain't nobody over there on Squarespace or in, Weebly land paying you money in the way that HighLevel will actually share in the profits when you get to resell that software subscription. And it's for the kinds of software that business need anyway. We're talking email marketing and text message marketing and lead generation and automated follow-ups and all of the things in between. You can see them here kind of small, but they're in that list. The reason why I'm so pumped up is because when you shift your thinking from just building websites into building premium growth websites that are backed by AI, backed by automation, and backed by all of the marketing systems, then you can charge premium prices because it solves really, really big business issues. And it really sets them up for success in this world that is obviously AI crazed at the moment. Plus, you build recurring software income by reselling the software at whatever price you want. And that is not attached to your time sitting in front of the computer. This is more software monthly income. It's a win-win for the clients that you serve because they need these tools anyway, and you are there to support them. And you can build something custom for a very healthy profit, and it still is a huge win for that company. And as you grow, you can start to scale and systematize. But I meet people all of the time that, you're not going to pay all of your bills by selling a couple of software licenses at, $100 to $300 a month. If you're in a position now where you could use, and it would be amazing for you to get that next 10K build, then you really should pay attention to the nuances of the HighLevel builder and why I choose to build here because of this opportunity. If you're still a little bit lost, then click here when you get the guide, which is in the description below this video, and go watch the full masterclass training I did with HighLevel so you understand a little bit more. I don't work for them. I just run my own software on top of their platform. I do resell the software to our clients for my company Kismet, and I'm an affiliate. I have my own community and I can help you. You can actually get all of my bonuses and resources by coming and jumping in my Builders Inner Circle. So all that link is here for you. Let's move on. The process when you're about to build a website in HighLevel, I really think it would be a disservice not to share the process overall. When we're building websites for clients, we always create client portals. In fact, if you jump into here, you can actually grab a copy of this, make a copy of it. If you don't use Notion, that's okay. You could just use the idea behind this and duplicate it in ClickUp or Trello or wherever. But point is, we always get organized so that we know what we're building. And that way, we're not starting from a blank slate or trying to keep all of our to dos on a bunch of random pieces of paper or in our head. Number two is we always outline the sitemap before we get started. So that way, we have a goal and an anticipation for the website. So write down all of those pages that you plan on building. That way, you have the overarching picture of what you're trying to accomplish before you start building. Knowledge base. Okay, I'm going to be going through these fast because I know you came here to see the AI builder in itself, but a knowledge base is so incredibly important when you first get started. Pro tip, I love Manus. It does so much of the heavy lifting already. I can literally ask it to just do things like creating a knowledge base and it will do so. So, I live in Louisville, Kentucky. It's where I'm from, but I've lived all over the world, Thailand, the Netherlands, Florida, California, and a little bit of time in Brazil. I'm looking locally because when I reach out to these businesses, I'm down the street and they're more than likely to lower their guard. It can be a really great way to sell them. Look at the this is a sponsored ad, but the top three in the Google Map app, there's no website. I went deeper. I looked. I found a Facebook group. I found the name of the owner, etc. And what I did was I went over into this tool called Manus, right? And I said I need a comprehensive knowledge base for this new client. It's not really a new client, but I can totally sell them on what we're creating here. I can even have AI drum up this website and show it to them and then get them on as a client. This is for example purposes for YouTube and for the workshop that I did. They don't have a website, so I gave them their Facebook page. This was a website that was linked from their Facebook page, which my God, this is horrible. If you haven't seen, 1990s called and they they want their site back. So anyway, that's what happened here. And it developed not only a knowledge base, kind of did it for me in a couple of minutes with the business overview and the business hours and all the details it could find after doing deep research, but it also gave me a voice guide. We built this voice guide of how they speak. Once you have a knowledge base, it really guides everything for the whole project. You're going to want copy because what most people do, I think they kind of get wrong, is they'll go into a website builder and you'll take the first template you see or the first thing that AI spits out and haven't really thought about what words are important on that page, and you just sort of go to ChatGPT and ask for like one line at a time to fit it into the design. Better websites are actually designed with the copy in mind first. And so if you are building from scratch, I highly recommend this. You can grab this resource here. Credit where credit is due. This is from Donald Miller, who's CEO of StoryBrand. Huge fan, definitely admire him. And this is basically the ultimate website template for copywriting. And it talks about all of the sections from the header down to the value proposition, the negative stakes. And it basically gives examples and just lays it out so cleanly that what I'll do is I'll take this PDF and I will upload it into ChatGPT or Claude, which I think does a little bit better of conversational style copy than Manus. And so then you can see here, I've taken that ultimate website template for the copywriting, plus the voice and tone guide for the business, right? And then the knowledge base. And then this generates the homepage copy. So now I have homepage copy that I can work from. Okay, one little thing I missed here was obviously you want to have brand guidelines in place. Where to start? This is why I think using a tool like Lovable or even Manus's Builder or Figma AI or even Illustrator or Canva AI or anything like that, you can totally do that. For us, for our team, it's kind of optional at this point. We actually prefer to just go directly into the site builder and start building. So this system, this platform is chock full of templates. When you come in here to build a website, you have so many options you can start from with this entire template library. Think of it if you've done WordPress before, like a big WordPress template library, except for it's not all the complexities and the clunkiness of getting the child theme installed and then having to sift through a million different WordPress panels or different sections of the builder or navigate and see one thing on one side and then another thing on. You don't have to do any of that. It's just super clean and straightforward. So for example, I think there's thousands of templates in here and they're categorized over here on the left-hand side. But let's just say I was going to pick, one of these for dog grooming. So I choose this template and then it will build out all those pages. It happens super fast. There's no weird random stuff you have to do and you don't ever have to worry about any plugins in here, which is really, really awesome. Pops you into the builder. and you're good to build. So, I mean, this is an example, right, of how quick and easy it can be, right? You can even ask AI to enhance the templates that you download. Let's talk about one more key element of the builder that I really, really love. I think it's a hidden gem. When you come over here and press the plus sign on the left, you get access to this section here called pre-built sections. I just think they're styled really nicely. I think that the spacing works out really well. Some of them, like that's a little bit cheesy, but some of them are just modern, clean, simple. You've got everything from, your hero sections, your headline sections, including video, which is so huge for websites. And all you have to do, you got, partner sections, you got teams, testimonials, etc., right? All you have to do is pull these in, just drag it on in, add that section into the website. I think these are highly overlooked. These are incredibly useful, and definitely want to recommend that even if you came in and started building a page from scratch, if you built with these pre-built sections, you would have something really beautiful if you just started stacking these together because they're already, all the padding is done for you, etc. So really nice benefit here. Not a lot of people know about that. They think if I can't get a template that I love, I'll just have to completely build from scratch element by element, but actually pre-built sections are the way. So, all right, let's dive back in. So I know you were curious to see the HighLevel AI builder. You can see here, this will ask you questions about the niche, about the goal of the website, target audience, and all sorts of things. You can continue to customize it by answering some questions. You can even choose actual color palettes or kind of choose from one that would be handy for you already, kind of built in and baked in. You can choose the fonts, or you can even, pick your own. And then just all kinds of stuff here that you're able to choose from. I'm just going to go ahead and click through a couple of these. Let's see. All right. So it's asking us about layouts, about spacing, spacious, compact, borders, and there's just so many cool things that we can do. So I'm going to click generate on this and click pause so you can see this website coming together. So here's the site that AI created, and it might have been the style that I chose, so it's a little cartoony, but you can see it's got sections, it's got the copywriting in there, it's pulling their actual testimonials from the knowledge base. It has the book appointment. You just need to add the form or the calendar. I mean, pretty cool, right? That's sort of made up the grooming transformations, but we could pop that in. This is why I love the AI builder here in HighLevel, is that instead of me having to go back and just ask, I could ask for modifications, but I also have access to the actual builder elements. And the more you learn how to use these and the more control you have, I really feel like you'll feel the same way about this. Not to mention, one of the most important things with this is the business opportunity behind HighLevel. All right, let's talk about the builder basics. If you have already been building websites, it should be pretty similar to other builders. And if you're new to this, then I'm hoping that the color coding helps you as much as it helps me. Let's actually take a look at what I mean by this. So if you are going over here to add a section, think of the section as that box. You can add different widths of sections, but if you're adding this section here on top, it's green. If you add the next component, which would be a row of what sits inside of it, now you have a one column row. The row is blue and your column is purple. So if I click on duplicate on this column, I now have a 2-column row. So blue's the row, 2 columns for purple, and then orange is element. So now I can add any of the elements I want. There are built in, this is another reason why the HighLevel builder is where it's at, because you have everything at your fingertips that's also throughout the rest of the platform, like surveys and calendars and quizzes and review widgets once you integrate your Google reviews and your Yelp reviews and all of that sort of stuff, progress bars, etc. So these are the elements themselves. So let's just kind of grab one and bring that in. Now you have the element you can see is orange. Whether it's a row, column, section, right, or an element, each time you'll actually see what it is that you're selecting over here on the right-hand panel. And that's what really allows you to then start making those updates and changing things. So that's a little bit of the lay of the land of how this is structured into these blocks. And I'm going to show you exactly what you can do with all of that stuff. There's also an easy way to access these blocks. If for some reason you can't access them by hovering over them and you're trying to find it, there are layers. So there is a layers panel here. if for some reason you can't find it. So for example, if we scroll down here, we can see that we've got the purple column right here. We've got this element right here and that, but we can't access the actual row settings. Well, one of the things we can do is we can come in over here and we can look at the layers. So you can see here, this is a 1 column row right here. Here's our first column, etc. Here's the row. It's blue. Now that we've clicked here, we can do a lot of things like duplicate it or move it around or clone it. This is another way you can quickly take sort of a section at the very bottom of the website and move it up. So layers are really, really super powerful. And it can be super fast for you to then rearrange the website. So let's just take this column example as well here. So now that I can actually access this column, I've got it selected. I can do things like shrink the width on it or anything like that. So that's how that works with layers. Now that we've talked about layers, let's talk about custom fonts. So right here, you can set headline fonts and you can set content fonts, basically the paragraph text and whatnot. But if you want to, you can add some funky fonts of your own. So you can click on custom font, click on default, and then click on upload font. And you can choose anything that you want. So you can totally upload these from your device and just bring in any, OTT or TTF file you want. So there's your font, your custom font. So that's how that works. And then let's talk about padding. So under all of these elements, rows, and columns, you can go to styles and you can actually adjust the padding completely and entirely. So if we just kind of do something aggressive here to just show you, now we've got 60 padding underneath, right? And we can even go up from there if we want. You can also type in these boxes. So if we wanted to do even bigger padding for some random reason, now we have all this padding in this gap. So each element has its own padding as well as so now you can see I'm on the first column of this row. It also has its own padding, right? And then there's also padding for the section. There's padding everywhere. This section actually has negative padding, which we will get to in a moment, so you can learn more about that. So that's how padding works. You can change the text transformation. You can do a lot of stuff really, really quickly with this side panel over here. I could even do like a 0.7 if I wanted it to be super smushed up together. So all of that is at your fingertips. You can change colors, all that sort of stuff. You can also hyperlink things. And then you do get this bar over here to even change the heading structure, whatever it may be. So let's go back into the workshop guide. Let's talk about images and graphics. So obviously, I think if you're already designing, that you probably know this. So I'll go over it quickly, but this was for a workshop. So I spent quite a bit of time just talking about this. When you upload things to the website, you're going into a different graphic editor to edit things, and you can obviously resize things. If a client gives you a 4,000 with pixel photo that could be put on a billboard, then to go ahead and resize it before you upload it. And you can create those custom graphics and all that sort of stuff and bring that into the website. But of course, also too, it's worthwhile mentioning, like these are overlapping. And so I wanted to talk about that and let me show you also too, if you click on the picture here, you can upload any of your own custom graphics, photos, and anything that you have created. And this will be in your media library. You can also organize this by folders. You can even sync it and connect with Google Drive, which looks like what it's trying to load right now. And you can go over here and flip over to Unsplash, and you can actually search for stock photos. So if I search for dog here, now I've got dog photos that I can grab just totally from Unsplash, click them in there. They're optimized for size. Now we're good to go. You can do a lot of other stuff with the styling on it. And you can even, set sort of a rounded border if you want to. And you can even create, sort of transparency. So I can add some rounded corners to this, all that sort of stuff. And then this is another example of what I was talking about with padding, is you can see this margin is negative. There are so many people that say, oh, well, HighLevel Builder doesn't have the pretty things that I've seen on Show It or Squarespace. And really, most of the time, they're talking about overlapping. So, of course, you could go into Canva and create a combination image with both of these. You can also use negative padding. That's it. If for some reason you're not able to access it on the scroll bar, you simply just type it in. That's all you have to do on the padding end. So that can be really, really useful for you to create some overlap, create some intrigue, and all that sort of stuff. So that was just sort of what is it? PSA? PSA. my public service announcement on images. If you grab the stock images through here, you're all good to go. But obviously, if you want to make sure your site keeps up to speed, then you want to go in those in Canva and modify those or create some specific stuff. So for example, like this thing with the rounded arch way, this was created in something like Canva or Photoshop and then put into here. So FYI on that. All right, the next thing I wanted to talk about was video. There's some really cool video features in this builder that are worthwhile mentioning. Video is obviously the number one way to sort of reduce bounce rates, really get people to build some trust with that business, etc. So let's just add a row here, right? Let's just go ahead and add a video player. That way you can see what I'm talking about here. So let's add that video player in. And I wanted to show you a couple of my favorite settings about the video players. So with this, you can pull in YouTube videos, Wistia videos, Vimeo videos, etc. And then you can even do custom embed codes. But you can also do hosted videos, which means that you actually upload that video file to the media storage library, which is pretty awesome. And so that can be really useful for you to just go put it in here. Plus, you can do things, since this is an all-in-one platform now, you can do things to actually monitor the view rates of these videos because they're hosted in the same place that does the automation builder. And then you can separately choose your video thumbnail, if you will. You can choose anything you want. I'm just going to pick something totally random here out of the account just so you can see something moving, because I love a good animated GIF thumbnail. So that does not look like a video thumbnail at all, but I think you kind of get my point. The better thumbnail would probably be someone waving, but we'll just put this one right here as the thumbnail. Some of the settings I really like, I actually like to disable autoplay, but you can test it out and see if you like it for yourself or not. Loop's a pretty cool idea, especially if you're doing like a video background, which you can also do on this platform. I love to be for people to be able to have playback speed control, because you might even be watching this right now in 16x speed or something, and I'm talking like as fast as a chipmunk, but I love giving people that power to do that. And then you can even do show pending timing, etc. Enable P&P is pretty cool. Picture in picture mode, where it actually stays in that bottom right corner as you scroll the rest of the website. So I really, really love that. And then you can sort of see, these are all really self-explanatory, but not a lot of people know this, is you can actually generate leads from the video itself. So you can toggle this on and say, hey, at the 2-minute mark, right? Or that's hours, but this is minutes. So at the 2-minute mark and 2 seconds, I want you to put up a form, and you can actually go create a form inside of the form builder, which is also in HighLevel, which is amazing. Like, this is a free teeth. This is my demo account, which is why there's a bunch of random stuff in here, but you're free offer claim. So at 2 minutes and 2 seconds into this video, then it pops up and it generates a lead for your business or for your client's business. You can also allow them to close it and continue without putting their information in. But this is a really great way you can offer them more things, give them something of value, right? Just collect their name for following up with them on a certain component of what you were talking about in the video, all that sort of stuff. So these are really cool options. I wanted to make sure that was known inside of the builder itself. All right, let's talk about the builder details, y'all. Okay, I mean, of course you could click around and see everything, and I won't spend too much time, but I want to talk about some of the cooler ones and the things you might be wondering. So row width, let's talk about this, because sometimes people miss this. And they get kind of frustrated with padding overall between these sections and stuff. So I'll talk about that really quickly. This is the green section here, and there's this toggle right here that's often overlooked, which says allow rows to take entire width. So you can see if I turn that on and turn that off, this will actually stretch. It's not giving you sort of the image that I would like you to see, but the difference is that it'll stretch from wall to wall. And so that is definitely a toggle to be looking at. And then when you click on the row itself, you are able to adjust the row width, right? So you can decide how wide you want this row to be. If you want it to be 100% and you're still finding that there was some padding there, that's when you go into the section and change this toggle on. And then you can actually kind of get it to mold to the edges. So let's just put an image in here as an example so I can show you some stuff here in terms of padding. So let me just pop this image in here with the transparent background. So obviously this does not look good. He's floating on top of everything, and we want him to have sort of a bottom to his body. And so this is worth mentioning, is you want to go from the inside out on padding. So the element itself, when I click on it with orange, and I go down to 0 on the padding here on top, 0 on bottom. I've gone through that. Now I'm going to go to the column, which is the next spot here. I'm going to take out that padding as well. I could even take out the top padding if that concerned me. You can go to the row itself. Again, they just kind of have all this padding to sort of help people who are really terrible designers from having everything smushed on top of each other. And then you go to the section and we have 20 padding here. Now, look, our dog is no longer floating. So it's also something to think about when you think about padding. And then now you can see we've gone from the side of the page to the side of the page on this. And so that allows us to be completely full width. And again, if we wanted to, we could also bring in this width and kind of bring it down. But now you can see this dog right here is on the top of the next section. So that's how full width rows work. But there's so many cool things you can do here. You can drag and drop. You can, with a click of a button, you can push it over, right? I already showed you the layers panel, but you can do a lot of cool stuff with that. All right, let's dive into hiding sections, rows, and elements. This can be useful for certain use cases, but overall, by and large, this platform is meant to be mobile friendly. So when you pop over here into the mobile mode or desktop mode, I mean, no, everybody forgets about iPads because they're just a mess. So don't ask me about iPads, okay? But mobile and desktop, it really does what it needs to do already. So there's not a ton that you do have to do. But if for some reason you thought, I don't want this dog's smiling face to be on mobile, you can actually click on any element, any row, any column, any section, doesn't matter where you're at, and you can come over here to styles and scroll down and you'll see visibility. So speaking of dogs, my dog is snoring hardcore right now. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay. And then you can turn this off. So that is visibility on desktop and mobile. So if I switch back to desktop now, our dog is still here on desktop, but no longer visible on mobile. So jumping over to mobile, dog is gone, right? So that can be a really cool feature if you need it for certain reasons to hide things across the different devices. The negative padding, which I've already briefly touched on, but that's how you get the overlap of photos. So we've talked about this right here. This image has negative padding. It has negative lower margin here. Where are we? It's in the styles. Here we go. Negative 200, right? And then we can also we can make it even less. We can make it like a negative 100, right? So that's how that works, or maybe it even needs to be a little bit more, right? So we can put it back, right? So we've already covered that. I won't cover it too much further, but let's go back into animations and mobile optimization. So animations are something that people would say, oh, well, it doesn't look as cool as insert other builder, but there are some cool things here. So these can be animated. Anything can be animated. Don't go crazy with it, but yeah, anything can be animated. You can put things on an infinite loop too. Like if you needed something to be rocking perpetually, or a lot of people do that with buttons. You can animate the entire, well, it's mostly elements. So you can animate anything you want. Okay. It's like really straightforward. You click on it. It's easy to use. You can even with adjust animation, you could go crazy with it if you want. So animations are here, which is awesome. Let's go back over here. Mobile optimization. So like I said, it's really already built for mobile. It's meant to be mobile responsive. I think they do a great job. But there are times where I want to change the padding on things or even the font size. A really cool thing to know, and it's just a feature that I think is just so simple, is wherever you're at here within the general, the styles, any of the details, see how there's border here and this gray bar here showing you these are the border options and there's no device. But then on margin and padding, there is a mobile icon right here. That's the mobile and then that's the desktop. And when you actually change over to these, it puts you on the same place. So these are actually separated by default. So you can see, look, on desktop, this padding is 35 all around. And then on mobile, it's actually 25 and then 20 on the sides, 25 on top and bottom. So that is such a really cool feature because you can get granular with it. So if you wanted to bump this up to, I mean, I don't know, or if you wanted to bump it down to 0, which I don't know why you would do that, because then that would look horrible because then you have no padding. But you can flip over to desktop and you can still see it has its 35 baked in because they are separate now, which is such a cool feature. So that way, that's how you can do that. And it's not just padding, it's anywhere you see that phone icon. So let's take this element, for example. I see the phone icon on font size, font weight, line height. So I can make it different on mobile than it is on desktop. So now this is 44 font on mobile, but if we switch over to desktop, it is 27. So that is also really super helpful because you don't have to create different versions that are visible on desktop and visible on, you don't have to do any of that. You get to really just change things and just make it what it is without having to do multiple sections at a time to get beautiful mobile optimization. So anyway, I'm a fan of that. All right, let's talk about builder finishing touches. CSS code, which I'm not a coder, but this whole video is really geared around like AI website builders. You can use CSS code in these websites and you can even have AI build you anything that you could possibly want. You can access that CSS code up here, custom CSS, and you can put that in here. You can build CSS to your heart's content. If you're building CSS and you're looking for the sort of details to tell the system that there is a particular CSS style on an element, column, row, whatever it may be, you actually scroll down to the bottom and here is the CSS selector and the custom class. So that's where those live right there. So for all my coding galleys and guys, then that is how you access that. All right, SEO metadata, definitely big props for the SEO. Obviously, SEO structure is really important. So this being an H1 or an H2, kind of structuring the website versus this being a paragraph text, that's super important. So keep an eye out for that because I see a lot of people tend to build sort of with like the headline and the subheadline. These are H1s, H2s, H3s, and you can kind of toggle between them. And then you do need to have yourself some body text, some paragraph text, stuff like that. Rich text is a new text box format that would allow you to add multiple different things in one box. So this is like a heading 1, heading 2. These are paragraphs for P's, right? H4. This is a quotation, but it's a paragraph text. So that's just the on-page sort of structure of the site for SEO. But the actual metadata is, let me hover over all of them. There we go. Here's the SEO metadata for the whole site. And you can put the page title in here, right? So like best dog groomer ever to groom the dogs of the planet, or in Louisville, Kentucky, and then descriptions, etc. And this will show you a preview of what it's going to look like. And then you can even add keywords, you can add your author, and you can add a social image. So you could put together a really cute graphic for them. Then you've got your graphic plus the SEO title and the description. It gives you some suggestions to really keep you optimized, which is super helpful in terms of character limit, etc. And then you can even go further if you want to do some custom meta tags, canonicals, etc. So I really find this to be very nice. I think there's a lot of big arguments in the whole, should we do WordPress? Should we do HighLevel space? But some of those arguments are just rooted in like fear of what used to be the reality, but they're not based in reality of what's possible today. These sites rank, and if you do it well, they rank just as high as any other site. Plus, you get the added benefit of them being built into the CRM with all of the follow-up and everything happening and all the activity. You can see literally everything about a business in one platform. It's the best. Domain setup. So you can bring in any domain you want. You can even build multiple funnels on the same domain. You can build unlimited website pages on the same domain. So I'm going to show you where you can set up domains, favicon, and tracking and analytics. And then I'm going to come back for a special treat. I put an apostrophe mark because it is special for custom values. So domain setup, when you're ready to launch this thing, you actually just, let's go ahead and update SEO. Let's go ahead and just save this thing here. When you're ready to publish it and connect it to a domain, it will walk you through those steps here. If it's the first time bringing a new domain into your account, you don't have it yet, you can walk through the steps of setting up the domain. adding a couple of records into the DNS, but I want to show you the actual settings panel. Once you have that domain connected, when you go back out here to the actual website itself, you go into the settings of the website, and that's where you can add your domain here to publish it. You can choose the main path URL for the website. You can add your favicon URL. For those watching who are like, what the heck's a favicon? It's the little icon in the tab of your browser. So when you see like the Google G, or the little finger snapping for the Manus, or the C for Canva, those are favicons. You can add them to the website. And then this would be your Google, Facebook, Meta tracking codes. You can even do chat widgets. That could be a whole nother video, which I can cover, but chat widgets right here, word up. You can also do AI chat widgets that are trained on a knowledge base of the business and can respond to people in real time. There's so many cool things that you can do, but that's where these settings are for the website itself. There's much more we could go into, but I felt like these were sort of some of the most important things I could share with you. Now let me show you custom values, because custom values are seriously next level. Okay, now I want to show you something super cool about this builder to where you can actually productize and scale these websites. It's called custom values. And so custom values can be used for everything from colors to words on the page to actual images. So right here, you can see this is a navigation menu. You can see down here that the brand logo it's got bracket, and custom values dot logo dot all that sort of stuff. If I take that out of there, you'll actually notice that if I uploaded an image for whatever reason, if you pretended like that's the logo, it's a HTML link to that actual image in the media library. So what does a custom value do? Custom value allows you to change it in one place in the settings, and then it changes everywhere. So you can see this logo for dark backgrounds here. If I add a new logo link that you can store in HighLevel in the media storage library, it will update on every page you have put that custom value. This also goes for words on a screen, the company information. I do a lot of things like their name, their state. You put all of these things into this growth website system, and then you can duplicate it into client after client after client's accounts, and you change just the custom values and it changes on everything. Let me show you another example too of one thing that I love with colors. So inside of this builder, let's take this color for example. Let's see how this color is actually, let me see right here. I'm just going to grab here and see we have this background color here, and if we click to open it, it'll actually show us when I hover over this that this color is a custom value. Custom values brand color primary. And so everywhere you see this purple on this website, which by the way, you can have this website, jump into my inner circle. I'm giving away my snapshots for free. So you can actually start selling growth websites. You can literally put your own brand on this and stuff. So where we see purple is actually a custom value, which means that if we change it in one place, we change it everywhere. So it's this primary brand color. And if I edit this hex code right here, I can change it to something else. So let me just totally grab a rando color here. Let's just make it a bluish color. Pop this in here and then update. Now we can see for this website, if I hit refresh, now we're blue. We're blue instead of purple. I hope you saw that. So that is how that works. It is such a cool feature, and I highly recommend that you know that it exists. Like, check it out. Just so cool. Just so cool. Awesome. So we've talked about the builder finishing touches, and now let's talk about what else I would do to finish off this site. Now that the pages are laid out, the copy's on it, we've got everything like spiffied up and ready to go for launch. That's when we build our growth assets, because they're all built in HighLevel: calendars, forms, quizzes, AI chat, AI voice widgets, reviews widgets, right? Automation workflows as needed, right? You can build out the whole rest of the system in that account. Once you do this, this is my last step for designing a website in HighLevel, is you can use tools like markup.io if you want to get fancy with it. If you want people to click on the landing page itself on your preview link and give you that markup type feedback. I don't know if you've ever seen a tool like this, but you can click somewhere on the page and then they can give you that feedback. I actually prefer to keep it really, really simple. So in that client portal I was telling you about, we put the preview link for them to review, a table here for exactly what they want us to change and make revisions on, and then with some website feedback instructions. I find that this is actually just way more straightforward, and it prevents people from nitpicking your designs and focusing on the things that matter most. And then again, this is part of the Builder client portal. You can grab a copy of that right here in this guide. The pro tip that I have is I use the HighLevel document sender, which does documents and contracts for signature, and I get a signature on a one-page launch agreement. And this basically says that you acknowledge that we launched what we said we were going to build for you, and these are for our high ticket custom builds, so that they can say, yes, you built it for me, and then we can give them the empowerment to be able to modify things as they go, agreeing to the fact that if they break it, they will pay to fix it. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much. If you want to get more support, I would love to see you in the Builders Inner Circle. Just click over, check it out, and I look forward to seeing what you build. One more last thing before you go, which is my channel is growing really, really fast, which is awesome, but I'm not getting a ton of comments. So if you've been watching so far, obviously subscribe, and please drop me a comment, give me some feedback, let me know what else you would like to see on the channel, and I will get that out there. I'm thrilled you're here, and I will see you soon on the next one.